We are getting to the bottom of this. It's time to split hairs. Was the Rams plus 3.5 points in Philly the single worst beat in NFL betting history? I actually think I have one that's worse. From 2013, we'll go back in history to settle this topic, or at least try to. I'm Doug Kezirian. This is Hard Pass, also available in podcast. All too often, something happens in sports, and we, as fans, give in to our emotions and become prisoners of the moment, labeling something the greatest or worst of all time. But fundamentally, at some point, that has to be a true statement, right? Whatever play is ultimately deemed the greatest, then at that point in time, it was, in fact, the greatest. And the fans at the time are not prisoners of the moment. They're actually accurate. So what if we just witnessed sports history, sports betting history? What if we just experienced the single worst bad beat in NFL history? You know what I'm talking about. Rams plus 3.5, collapse, blocked field goal, and the subsequent scoop and score by the Philadelphia Eagles. Personally, I think I actually found one that was worst. 2013. But I understand how people would disagree and put the Rams plus 3.5 at the top of their list. Maybe you're a prisoner of the moment and it's fresher in your minds, but it was pretty brutal and so many things had to occur for that wager to lose. Let's start with LA leading 26-7 midway through the third quarter, thanks to a Matthew Stafford TD pass to Kyren Williams. Rams dominating, actually should have been up more. Eagles were being booed at home. This game was in the bag, right? Don't forget, Rams are also catching 3.5 points. Finally, Philly wakes up, scores a touchdown, forces a punt, scores another touchdown. So we're in the fourth quarter, under 9 minutes to go. Rams are leading still, but it's 26-21, and they're lining up for a field goal to go up 8. But it's blocked. Rare, but it happens. So Eagles take over. They drive the entire field, long drive, and then on 4th and goal from the 4, score a touchdown, thanks to a pass to Devontae Smith. No 2-point conversion, so Eagles now lead by 1. But again, you're still covering plus 3.5. So you at least need to get out of your own territory to avoid the turnover on downs and then give up a field goal to lose by 4. But the Rams do that. They get to midfield. So you're good. In fact, they're setting up for a game-winning field goal as time expires. You're fine. Make, miss, you don't care. However, Philly blocks it again. And this time, it bounces perfectly for 336-pound Jordan Davis to scoop and head to the end zone. Game's over even if he just falls on the ball. But every big guy dreams of a touchdown. Thick 6, right? So that's how Rams plus 3.5 was the greatest bet for 99% of the game until that play. As you would imagine, this brutal beat resonating right away on social media. So it's time for a heat check. And we have some doozies here. We'll start with BR Betting. Right away, they knew about how bad of a beat it was. Rams 3.5, first ballot, Hall of Fame, worst beat in history. Eagles block the game winner and house it, and then a video of the play. Sheldon Alexander, yes, I had the Rams plus 3.5, and yes, that might be the worst bad beat of all time. Shame, shame, shame with a funny meme. Full Slate Podcast. If you're having a bad day, just know it could be worse. I bet Titans plus 4.5. Terrible numbers. It went up. Rams plus 3.5. Worst beat ever. And Cowboys money line. Worst bet ever as they got smoked in Chicago with a funny Adam Sandler meme. And then my friend Matt Humans here in Vegas. Rams plus 3.5 is an all-time ATS bad beat. It's un-effing believable. Is it the worst? What else ranks in the NFL bottom 10? And that got me thinking. In my eyes, as I really want to organize this, the worst bad beat has to meet 3 criteria. 1, the wager had to feel like a winner the entire game. Otherwise, we're just breaking down endings of games. This way, blowing the cover had to feel inconceivable for most of the game until the very end. So you're probably looking at an underdog that was winning the entire time and then not only loses the game, but also can't even cover with the point spread. 2, the ending has to be epically awful. When we are splitting hairs to decipher the single worst ever, the ending has to be extremely painful. That's part of the equation, right, for bad beats. 3, the ending should also be pretty rare because sadly, we see a lot of bad beats these days, so the ending should stand out in a weird way. It's not mandatory, but it should resonate or be pretty darn memorable. Much like the Eagles' unnecessary scoop and score They didn't need the touchdown. So initially, 2 Super Bowls come to mind. One was my personal worst, which I will start with. That's 2009. Arizona Cardinals making that Cinderella run, get to the Super Bowl to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. First half point spread, I had Arizona plus 3.5 points. And so did the most famous and successful sports bettor that's ever lived, Billy Walters, a true legend. Cardinals have the ball inside the 5, 18 seconds left before halftime. They're down 3, 10-7. So I don't need any points. I'm good. Don't need a field goal, don't need a touchdown, whatever. What I don't need is what happened. Kurt Warner throwing an interception on a disguised blitz by James Harrison, picks it off, and then from the goal line starts thinking pick 6. One of the most famous and improbable plays in Super Bowl history. This is not a speedster defensive back picking it off in the flat and having daylight straight ahead. It's a linebacker. Looks like he's about to get tackled numerous times. Arizona's Larry Fitzgerald running out of bounds, navigating the sideline, dodging players who aren't even in the game. Eventually, Harrison gets tackled, but he crosses the goal line as time expires. Touchdown. I lose my bet in excruciating fashion, but it's not the worst ever. They trailed by 10 early second quarter. Remember my criteria. The wager had to feel like a winner the entire way, but the ending, definitely painful and unique and memorable. So it checked those boxes, but wasn't a certified winner most of the half. However, the 2017 Super Bowl, much worse and meets all the criteria. Falcons plus 4.5 points. Atlanta led the Patriots 28-3. Midway through the third quarter, this game was in the bag. Falcons then completely botch it, allowing New England to even have time to make a comeback. Even after the Patriots scored 9 points, a touchdown, and then a 3-point field goal, it was still 28-12, 16-point lead, 8.5 to go in the game. Third down, Matt Ryan sacked and fumbles. Pats recover. Punting would have been much better, forcing New England to burn clock, but instead, they score in 5 plays and get the 2-point conversion. But even still, Falcons are up 8 points and then drive to New England's 22 thanks to this incredible catch by Julio Jones. So we're inside of 5 minutes. A field goal would essentially ice the game, make it a 2-score game. But Atlanta calls a pass play on second down. Matt Ryan takes a sack. Then there's another pass play called. They're flagged for holding, and Atlanta is backed up so far, they now have to punt. No field goal to ice it. They reach the 22-yard line and end up punting. So it remains a 1-score game. Patriots take over, 3.5 to go. So a lot of time, but they need a touchdown and a 2-pointer. Falcons plus 4.5. Bettors starting to worry a little bit, but still very likely to cover. But then Julian Edelman had other ideas. One of the most ridiculous catches you will ever see. That set up a touchdown and the game-tying 2-point conversion. So if you had Atlanta plus 4.5, a TD and OT is all that beats you. Falcons are unable to score to win it, so we head to OT. Now, Patriots get the ball first, and remember, it's no longer just sudden death. That's only the case if the Pats get a touchdown. If they get a field goal, then the game continues. So New England's incentivized to go for the end zone, and that's in fact what ends up happening. James White scores the walk-off touchdown. Patriots win by 6, coming all the way back from that 25-point deficit. Yes, a criminal cover and a brutal beat for Falcons plus 4.5. Feels a lot like Rams plus 3.5. Very similar. I would argue Rams worse because of the ending. We see touchdowns in overtime, so it's not wild and crazy compared to the block field goal, touchdown, scoop and score when Philly just needed to fall on the ball. To me, the ending is the difference maker for the Rams being worse, but the Falcons was brutal and everything that happened. But if you want to argue that Atlanta trailed by more points, 25 versus 19 midway through the third, both games were midway through the third, and the overtime TD wasn't rare because the Patriots needed 2 2-point conversions to tie the game rather than have an uneven score like the Rams and Eagles did. I can understand that. As for regular season games, this one immediately came to mind. It's pretty bad. Monday Night Football, 2017, Chiefs at the Redskins. KC, a 7-point favorite, never led by more than 3 points the entire game. 4 seconds to go. Chiefs take a 23-20 lead. So all that was left, this silly play, and it should have ended a couple times. Ultimately, Justin Houston wants a touchdown. Pay dirt. Not only does the TD give the Chiefs the cover, but it also gets the game over the total of 48.5 with a final score of 29-20. So 49 points. So yes, the Redskins +7 and under 48.5 felt like a winner most of the game. But we do see those types of plays to end games. I know it's crazy, but it happens more than you think. So splitting hairs, I still have to take Rams +3.5 because that was such a winning wager for most of the game. For Washington +7, Skins did trail 14-10 early third and 20-17 early fourth. So hardly a winning wager for most of the game. That's why the Rams +3.5 gets the nod in my book. However, I truly believe this next game is, in fact, the worst beat of all time for an NFL game. College games have craziness. Obviously, other sports are different. December 8th, 2013, Vikings visit the Ravens. Snow, cold temperatures, minimal scoring. Over-under was 42. The score was 12-7. Game was approaching the 2-minute warning. 19 total points scored. A wager of under 42 is winning by 23 points. Baltimore, down 5, needs a touchdown. On 4th and goal, they do get a TD and a two-pointer, so it's 15-12, 2:05 left. Think about this. 27 points scored. Under 42 is winning by 15, and we're basically at the 2-minute warning. And by the way, Minnesota's already been eliminated from the playoffs. They're banged up. Matt Castle's the quarterback. Adrian Peterson left the game in the second quarter with an injury. Toby Gerhart, shotgun formation, draw up the gut, house call from 41 yards out. Lowly Minnesota scores a touchdown in 2 plays. They're up 19-15, but still, $1.50 left, 34 points. You're still under by 8. Ensuing kickoff, Jacoby Jones houses it, 77 yards. God forbid someone tries to make a tackle. So now it's 22-19. Ridiculous. But you still have a winning wager. You just need to fade Matt Castle in the snow, driving for a game-tying field goal. After 2 incompletions, Matt Castle, journeyman quarterback, backup extraordinaire, 3rd and 10. Bubble screen, Cordero Patterson. Are you kidding me? Another house call. Painful, absurd, you name it. Ravens actually added another touchdown later. Neither offense could do anything all game. 1 touchdown until the 4th quarter, and you get a 4th down touchdown to start it. Under 42 ticket is in the clear by 23 points with 2.5 minutes go. So to me, that's the worst beat ever. It certainly meets the criteria. The wager felt like a winner nearly the entire game. Check. The ending has to be epically awful. Check. The ending was extremely rare, especially given the personnel involved. Check. It took 4 touchdowns in a 1:15 span to beat you, and random players like Toby Gerhart and Matt Castle. Vikes were 3-8-1, already eliminated from the playoffs. Ravens somehow give up those big plays. Bizarre, wild, you name it. So many things had to go wrong for you to lose that. But if you want to separate the discussion, worst beat on an over-under in the NFL, worst beat on an NFL point spread, then I do think the Rams wager is at the top of the list for a point spread. Let me know your thoughts. Certainly eager. Again, NFL only for this one. Join the conversation. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. What's your personal worst beat of all time? And do you think that Ravens Vikings under 42 takes the cake over last week's Rams +3.5 in Philly? Would love to get your input on this. Time now for Fans in the Stands, and this is when I get to respond to the comments section from our audience or our Fans in the Stands. And this is just a reminder to please like and subscribe the channel. It's the currency in this YouTube world, and it really helps us out with the analytics. That's how we keep it free. So please do that. It pays the bills, and we always appreciate it. But more importantly, engage. Join the conversation. Let us know what you think, what you like, what you dislike. Feedback. Always appreciate constructive feedback. But in general, just things you'd like to see more of, less of, overall input, if you will, or just random questions. And of course, the bad beat topic is always fun. So feel free to share some personal history. These are comments from the previous episode, which was about the NFL and maybe the tush push, looking the other way on some potential penalties that have come to light lately. Just the NFL in general being sort of on thin ice, if you will, with some of the fans and just the questionable officiating across the board. So the first one's from Fraz2017. So I like your channel, but I think you have to be fair. Why wasn't the call on Adams not called? The tush push is fair, but now I just think you are being like big media such as Nick or Skip or Colin and only calling out one team and not calling out the other team. This was a back and forth regarding the Eagles tush push. Now, the Devontae Adams push off, that's fine. I get it. There's a million calls. I don't like the officiating in the NFL. There are just too many flags and it's all inconsistent. Maybe there's too many rules for some of these officials. There are problems everywhere. I was more speaking to the NFL's brand and the integrity that's on the line here, and the tush push is what's taken center stage. So I'm not the one singling it out, but I'm speaking about the masses singling it out, and the NFL with its integrity at line. Look, when the Chiefs were getting every call, the NFL's integrity was on the line, and people discussed that. So I don't think people care. Like the Tom Brady thing became an issue with Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady, but if the Raiders were good, or if he was operating or a part owner of the Chiefs, then it would become an even bigger issue and probably would have right away. So my point is, I'm just talking about the headlines here and really the NFL as a whole and has to maintain its credibility. That's the issue here. I'm not trying to single out one game or single out a call here and there. I'm throwing the wide net. So I'm speaking already to what the masses are discussing. James Graham says, I thought the referees were protecting the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. In week 1, the Eagles had 14 penalties. The Cowboys had 4. How is that in favor of the Eagles? Make it make sense. I always love those passive-aggressive comments, like make it make sense. Like, oh, you got me. You busted me. Here's the thing. It's not about penalty count, okay? For all we know, the Eagles committed 20 and only got flagged for 14 of them, and the Cowboys committed 4 and got flagged for 4. It's never going to be evened out because teams don't play it the same way. Especially in basketball, teams are more inside and generate foul calls, whereas other teams are on the perimeter more. So the make it make sense thing is a throwaway. This is about overview. You mentioned Chiefs and Mahomes. I agree. They were right in the crosshairs for several years, and seemingly the league loved having them. This goes back to when David Stern said, I would love it if the Lakers would play the Lakers in the finals. Something he should have never said. The league's in the business of making money, and Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league. Taylor Swift obviously helps things. So you have to be careful. You have to protect your brand. And with the Eagles being the defending champs, and having these tush-push replays shown everywhere, you have to nip this in the bud. This is not about me singling out a couple plays with the Eagles. I don't really care. I won money on the Eagles last year. My favorite team's the Raiders. They stink, and I even bet against them. So this is not about any hatred for the Eagles. I grew up a Randall Cunningham fan. This is about speaking to the big topic, and the big topic right now is the tush-push. And the NFL needs to nip this in the bud. Backcountry treks. There are missed calls on every play. Missed calls when the defense is lined up in the neutral zone and missed false starts. Seems like you're picking and choosing what to complain about. Again, you're right. I am picking and choosing. This is not a referendum on blown NFL calls and going through the all 22s in every game and things like that. This is about just talking about the masses and the casual fans and not breaking that trust you have with them. They being, the NFL doing that. So the NFL needs to be careful here. I think if you have all these calls that are, showcased by all networks and everywhere else, YouTube channels and things like that, then you got to stop letting that happen one way or another with the false start. And I do think, unfortunately, the tush push is going to go away next spring when the owners vote, because there were only 2 votes shy last year, and all this hoopla is certainly not helping things. Skeeks27, such BS. What about the multiple push-offs from Devontae Adams? They had 1 false start that wasn't called. Now all of a sudden, everybody's acting like they've been doing it for several years every time they run the tush push. That's a fair comment. I don't want to regurgitate what I said, but this is more about the narrative. Perception is reality, right? That's what we're talking about. And the Eagles are center stage, being the defending champs, and having this play that is so interesting and being discussed so frequently. Yeah, I think the Eagles should push back and show a bunch of video from the tush push going back to the Super Bowl in previous years on how no one's committing a false start. If they do that, does it exist? I want the overhead camera. Show people that these are some one-offs, because I don't think anyone can deny that false starts were occurring, right? We know that they were. The question is, have they always been occurring? And I think that's what we need to speak to. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Hard Pass. Really appreciate everyone commenting in the comment section. Eagles fans getting involved. Love that. That's fine. We can have an open dialogue here. It's totally fine. I'm not even attacking Philly per se. I'm attacking the NFL's credibility, the shield, if you will. They need to protect that, and that would be something I would address if I were in the league office. But a really fun episode. Turning back the clock on some bad beats never gets old. But, again, join the conversation. Please like and subscribe.